Anna has just committed a severe crime and is now treading the streets, disoriented. Re-emerging from the half-unconscious state, she runs back to her house, walks up the stairs, and sees her husband's lifeless body lying down on the floor in a huge mess. As if she were seeing it for the first time, the girl is struck by the sight. Reactively, she begins cleaning up, but it is all in vain. The police are already coming. 7 years later, her name is inmate 2537. One morning, after being called to the telephone, she is told dreadful news. Her mother has passed, and she must travel to Seattle to attend her funeral. Anna's face remains unchanged. She simply accepts it and responds that she will be there. A few hours later, she is granted a furlough and 72 hours to report back to jail. By the officer, she is also given a phone on which they will call her repeatedly. If she doesn't answer that phone, she will be declared a fugitive. She stands outside the prison wall in the next scene. Freed from the bars, she looks like a person gazing at a broad, bleak nothingness. After a few minutes, she gets into a bus and travels from station to station. On one of the stops, a young man appears on board. He seems to be fleeing from some danger. Having no money to buy the ticket, he looks over the passengers and, noticing one of his own kind, approaches Anna to ask her for $30. Anna remains silent for a while. She hasn't been in contact with a stranger from outside the prison for 7 years. Finally, she hands him the money, and the journey continues. Soon, the young man tries to initiate a conversation, but Anna shows no intention to engage in any kind of back and forth. Still, the man decides to pay her back by giving her his watch. It seems to be quite precious to him, and he wants Anna to have it until he can pay her back in money. A smile is barely flickering on the girl's face, but it's clear that she is pleased. On the next stop, the young man receives a call from someone who warns him that the husband of his previous client is endeavoring to murder him. He should definitely avoid meeting new clients for a while and stay undercover. We don't know what he does for a living yet, but it is clear that his job contains some degree of danger. The next thing that we notice about this young man is that he loves looking at himself in the mirror. He is doing just that when he catches a glimpse of Anna, standing alone and drinking some hot beer. With a confident smile, he approaches her and tries to charm her with his witty lines. Whether he is successful or not, we cannot know yet. Anna remains silent throughout the whole time. That night, the young man receives another call, warning him again that the husband of his client has people looking for him everywhere. In the next scene, the bus finally arrives at its destination. Coming down, Anna tries to return the watch to its owner, but the man asks her to keep it until he can pay the ticket money back. Clearly, he is doing it to keep in touch with her. This way, she will be responsible for reaching out. The watch will serve as a main agent in creating a bond between them. Eventually, the young man gives her his phone number and asks her to call him. She has no intention to keep his number. However, after taking a few steps, she throws it away and decides never to think about him again. Walking inside her childhood home in the next scene, she is greeted by her relatives in a big, cheerful commotion. They encircle her with wide smiles and bright faces and embrace her kindly. They seem to be a very nice family. After a few minutes, unexpected news is told to her. As it turns out, after her mother's passing, her father wants to sell the house. The money will be split equally among the family, of course, so he needs Anna's consent and signature. Before she can say anything about this matter, the household engages in an unexpected argument, and Anna decides not to take part in it. She goes into the backyard and suddenly sees a familiar face. A married man with a wife and a child catches a glimpse of her too, and decides to walk up to her. Anna is clearly reluctant to communicate with him. When the man appears in front of her, an underlying tension between them becomes extremely obvious. There seems to be a history between them that forces Anna to be bitter towards this man. We do not know what kind of relationship they used to have, but it is clear that they were extremely important to each other before Anna went to jail. To her, time didn't pass at all, but the man's life took many sharp turns. In the next scene, we learn what the owner of the watch does for a living. His name is Hoon, and he works as a gigolo. While he spends time in some wealthy woman's hotel room in Seattle, Anna treads the streets alone. She buys new clothes, smells the fresh air of freedom, and is immediately reminded by the phone that she must be back in prison tomorrow. She is in no mood to be dressed up anymore. Sorrowfully, she changes into her old outfit and leaves her new one in a public restroom. Soon, we see her in line for train tickets. Clearly, Anna is struggling to make a decision until she finally reconsiders going and leaves the station. She is sitting alone in a street, completely drawn by gloomy thoughts, when by chance, Hoon catches a glimpse of her. He decides to walk up to her, of course, continuing to play games with her. He pays her back and watches in surprise as Anna says and does nothing. She has no time to play games, so not to lose any more time, she asks him if he wants her or not. The answer is yes, of course. So the two make their way towards a motel in the next scene. Passion builds up gradually, and it is all very easy for Hoon. The same cannot be said in the case of Anna. However, Her body is tense, and a raging war takes place inside her mind. The heat of the moment and the trauma of the past, as well as years of no intimacy, force her to kick him away a few times. Still, Hoon manages to rekindle her heart until Anna's response gets increasingly forceful and violent. She pushes him into the wall, turns her back on him, and dresses herself. No words are said as rain starts to fall. Looking out of the window, Hoon realizes, smiling, that Anna is his first unsatisfied customer. To make it up to her, he approaches and gives her a discount. Jokingly, he sees that she can use some warm company, so he offers his full presence throughout the day. Walking together under the overcast sky, they speak about nothing important. Hoon shares the essence of his line of work with her and takes her to a restaurant. The main aim of his efforts is to satisfy his clients as much as he can. Anna turns out to be extremely tough to please, and Hoon seems to take it as his professional responsibility to change that. Perhaps he even wants to test his own abilities. When the two go to a restaurant, Anna finds out, to her surprise, that it's Hoon's birthday today. She learns his name as well and agrees to follow his lead throughout the day. Hoon appears to know his way around Seattle. He's been going on dates here for a living, so there is no wonder he knows which places are amusing and which are not. After the restaurant, the two join a tour around the city. People around Anna clap cheerfully, and time after time, a flickering smile appears on her face. Fog disintegrates, and the sun shines out for a little, while as the bus they are on gets inside the river and turns into a ferry boat. Good weather is usually short in Seattle. It is symbolic that Anna gets to spend her free time here in this city where good times don't last long. They go to an amusement park then. From time to time, Anna truly manages to experience joy, but her consciousness is so strong that, realizing her happiness, she restricts herself from feeling good immediately. It is not something she does deliberately. She just can't help feeling hopeless. Suddenly, however, the amusement park offers the most unusual fun activity. Hoon notices a couple in the street, standing in the sun, struggling to get over a fight. Both Anna and Hoon can see their lips moving. So soon they begin reading their mouth movements and verbalizing them for each other. Putting her nose in the relationship of others, Anna suddenly feels excited. Her personality blends in within the moment, and for a while, she forgets about the fact that tomorrow she'll have to become inmate 2537 again. Time becomes relative, and unexpectedly, Anna feels as if she's in a theater, watching some beautiful stories unfold. This is the kind of life she longs to have. The beauty of life and of human relationships is what she lost track of over time. For 7 years, she lived in a vacuum, and for the first time, she finds herself catching a glimpse of beauty again. Unexpectedly, an urge to run comes over her and domesticates her entire being. Following this urge, she dashes away and sprints till she is out of energy. Hoon chases her, of course, and in the end, he realizes that it's impossible to understand what is going on in Anna's mind. This is the moment he is told the whole truth about her situation. Silence falls, and the only thing Hoon can say is that it's bad. Suddenly, they hear fearful shrieking from behind and jump up from surprise. A group of people taking part in a ghost tour are standing behind them. As funny as it is, this unusual occasion has some underlying meaning as well. As the group passes them by, Hoon and Anna really do look like two lost souls. When the area becomes silent again, Anna decides to open up to him. She does that in her own language, however, which Hoon doesn't understand. He is from Korea and only knows 2 words in Chinese. These 2 words are good and bad, and so, when Anna tells him her story, Hoon repeats only those 2 words, often in an extremely wrong context. As it turns out, Anna used to visit this place with someone else when she was young. Someone else was her first love, and their relationship was so strong that she was eager to marry him, unexpectedly. However, she was left behind and married to a man who turned out to be weak and jealous all the time. Living with this psychologically abused husband, her first love suddenly returned to Anna and offered to run away together. As she remembers in this moment, she was eager to follow him, but somehow, her husband found out and endeavored to murder them both. He beat her until she fell unconscious. Anna knows that Hoon doesn't understand a single word she is speaking, but sharing this story with somebody else still gives her some relief. When the couple comes out of the amusement park in the next scene, it is already dark, now in English. They speak about how they first met. When Hoon receives an unexpected call, his attitude changes, and his expressions become concerned. Returning to Anna with a fake smile, he stands by silently until, quickly, Anna takes a step towards him and gives him a hug. This brief show of affection is just what her body and mind were craving. The same could be said about Hoon as well. This expression of love is real, and it touches the strings in his heart that used to be deeply buried. Taking a step back again, Anna offers to pay, but Hoon doesn't accept. He asks her to wait around for 30 minutes. He knows she will not do that, but he has an idea as to where she will go. In the next scene, we see him walking up to his client. The woman whose husband is threatening to murder Hoon offers him to run away together, and for the first time in their relationship, she receives a no for an answer. Before he leaves, she asks him to take some money at least, and falls into a desperate mode as the young man walks away towards the main entrance. Hoon still decides to show one last act of warmth towards this woman. He goes back and leads her to her hotel room, suggesting that she sleep her troubles off. Afterwards, he quickly runs in search of Anna. He knows that she will be at the motel where they first kissed each other. He sprints to the place, opens the door, and, to his misfortune, finds out that he is late. There is no trace of Anna, other than a watch laying on top of the bed in the middle of the room. In this moment, Anna is in church, sitting by her mother's open casket and speaking to her as if she were still alive. The next morning, she sees her first love at the funeral, and no strong feelings stir up in her heart. Soon, however, another important person enters the area. It is Hoon, and this time Anna finds her heart beating more quickly. When the ceremony ends, Anna signs the document about selling the house. She doesn't care about these family inheritance problems at all. Instead of joining her family, she sits with Hoon. Being alone with him, she feels comfortable. But suddenly, the couple that will make the situation most tense joins Hoon and Anna on the table. They are Wang Jing, Anna's first love, and his new wife. Wang Jing attempts to have a conversation. He remembers the past cheerfully, but Anna doesn't pick up on his energy at all. Wang Jing's wife seems to think that Anna came all the way from China to attend the funeral. She appears to not know anything about the crime she has committed. Picking up on this, Hoon decides to become playful. He says that they came from China together and that they own a restaurant there. Surprisingly enough, he even adds that he and Anna are planning to get married soon. Anna's first love doesn't seem very happy, but his wide heart congratulates them cheerfully. Soon, the men are left alone at the table. Wang Jing is clearly suspicious of him. He expresses it openly, that he doesn't believe a single word he is saying. He asks him not to play games with Anna, emphasizing that she has had a very tough life and doesn't need it to get any more complicated. Hoon responds that playing games is not that terrible. Games make her laugh, and there is nothing wrong with that. The conversation between them takes a sharp turn then. Wang Jing drops one last demeaning sentence and attempts to walk away coolly. The conversation between these two men doesn't end that easily. However, soon they start fighting, and the restaurant explodes in a huge commotion. It is clear that Hoon isn't really angry. He is only acting this way to play a game. He only stops when Anna dashes forward and screams at him to seize this mess. Hoon starts justifying his anger then, saying that Wang Jing used his fork. This is so ridiculous that the entire room gets silent. This is an opportunity for Anna to express all the anger, rage, love, and desperation that has been building up inside her heart. These ambivalent feelings towards Wang Jing have been swamping inside her unconscious mind for a very long time, and in this moment, they explode out of her mouth and through his tears, screaming her heart out. She scolds Wang Jing for using someone else's fork and breaks down emotionally. Her first love apologizes. He is clearly not a bad man. Guilt and sadness overcome him, and he keeps saying that he's sorry as Anna continues to cry in the middle of the restaurant. The time comes to say goodbye in the next scene. Freed from some enormous weight, Anna pays Hoon a symbolic amount and refuses to take his watch as a commemorative gift. It is a shame that their relationship is about to end this way, with her going back to prison. Before the bus drives away, Hoon waves at her from outside. Despite the gloomy occasion, he still acts playfully. When the bus engine starts, Anna closes her eyes to go to sleep. This is why she fails to notice one last passenger coming aboard. As the vehicle drives away, an exhausted Anna starts dozing off to sleep, and suddenly, Hoon appears on the seat next to her, acting as if he is meeting her for the first time. In this moment, it is no longer difficult for Anna to feel happy. They create characters and act as if they are not themselves. All of this, until Anna is again reminded of where she is truly going. Her phone rings, and the voice of a police officer demands to know her location and number. He is told that inmate 2537 is on her way back. Due to increasing fog on the road, the bus stops to take a rest and wait till the vision becomes better. Hoon is stretching his legs alone when he receives a call as well. It is from an unknown number, and the person on the other side of the line maintains an ominous silence. Suddenly, he gets ambushed. A gun is pointed at his waist, and a plastic bag is put over his head. Hoon is reminded of his real identity as well. His life seems to be in danger as a group of men drags him along. In the next scene, the husband of Hoon's last client is standing in front of him, trying to understand what he did that made his wife so happy. Hoon says nothing. The truth of the situation is not yet fully realized by him. The degree of dreadfulness on this occasion soon becomes obvious to him. However, the man takes out the bag his wife used to own and asks Hoon why he murdered her. The bag is bloodied, and as the husband says, the cops are already on their way. Hoon says nothing in return, realizing that the man must have slain his own wife. He stands up and walks away. He is letting go freely. Meanwhile, Anna is treading along the foggy area aimlessly. After hearing the terrifying news, Hoon comes up to her. She is the only harbor he can go to feel that he can endure the catastrophe. After looking into her eyes, he kisses her firmly. As no words are said, the kiss goes on for eternity. Standing on the edge of the world, the two fill up with love that will be necessary to survive the fall. Today, their ways will part, but when Anna finally gets out of jail, Hoon will be waiting for her at this exact spot. After this meaningful moment, Anna finally manages to fall asleep on the bus. When she wakes up, the fog is already gone. After coming down, she buys 2 cups of coffee and starts looking for Hoon as a police car arrives in the area. Anna doesn't understand what's going on. She looks around, catching no glimpse of Hoon, and suddenly notices his watch ticking on her left wrist. Quickening her pace, she continues to look for him still, but there is no trace of the man around the area. Finally, Her attention is caught by the police car, and this is the moment she decides to seize her desperate search. 2 years go by, and Anna is finally let go. Completely free, she goes to the place where she and Hoon had their goodbye kiss. Having no fear that Hoon won't arrive, she waits calmly and watches steam as it rolls up from her coffee cup. The waiting process goes on for a very long time. Finally, she hears a noise coming from the entrance. Her expressions change only for a moment, until she returns to her thoughts again. We do not see who entered the restaurant, nor do we notice anybody sitting across the table from Anna, but we still hear her say hello, and notice a glimpse of a flickering smile on her face.